Now, so you need to remember, we're talking about multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions. So we treat them like any other fractions. When you multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators together, multiply the denominators together, and then you simplify. As in, if there's any common factors, you take out those common factors and it cancels out and you simplify. Now when you divide fractions, what you do is you change the second one, you flip it upside down, you change it to a reciprocal. If you remember, a reciprocal of a fraction is swapping the denominator and the numerator. And so you swap them around, and then you change the division to multiplication sign. Alright, so that's the way that we divide. So division and multiplication essentially are the same thing. You take one, numerator with numerator, denominator with denominator, that's multiplication. Division is just the extra step, but you flip the second one upside down, and then you change it to multiplication, and then you multiply the top. Alright, so that's the way that we handle these things. So if I move it up, come back to this in a moment. I'm going to do these examples. Thank you. So let's have a look at these examples. So just because there's variables or algebraic parts in there, we do it exactly the same. There's no difference to it. So we've got x over 3 times 5 over x. What do I get when I multiply the numerators together? 5x. 5 times x is 5x. Alright, so it's 5 times x. I'll do one extra step. What's the denominators multiplied together here? 3x. Alright, so I'll do 3 times x. So that equals 5x over 3x. Alright, so it's 5x over 3x. What is a common factor between the numerator and the denominator? X. So what happens to the x's? They cancel out, because x divided by x is 1. So we cancel out, and we end up with just 5 over 3. Here's what we end up with. And so we multiply top with top, bottom with bottom, and then you simplify. Yes? Okay. The next one we have number 2 is 3 over a times 6 over b. What is the numerator going to be? Numerator. 3 times 6 is 18. And what's the denominator going to be? AB. Alright, so 18 over AB. Are there any common factors we can simplify? No, because there's no a or b on the top, and there's no factors of 18 on the bottom, and so there's no way we can simplify this fraction anymore. So this is as simple as it can be. Okay? All right. Now, right, now if I go back, keep moving along, here we have number 3, we've got 7 over 2b multiplied by b over 14. Frankie, what's the numerator going to be? Yeah. 7b, good, so we've got 7b over 5, what's the denominator? It is 28b. Yeah, because 14 times 2 is 28, multiplied by b is 28b. Yeah, so Lachlan wants one factor that cancels out. These cancel out. So I can write it as 7 over 28. Are there any other common factors here?
Yes.
What is it? 4 doesn't go to 7, but I think I know what you're talking about. 4. 7. 7 goes into 7 and 7 goes into 28 how many times? This. So that's a B crossed out. The B that I've crossed out. So, if we cancel out the 7, it is. 28 divided by 7 is 4, so we end up with 1/4. So you cancel out the B's, and you also cancel out the factor of 7 from the numerator and from the denominator, which is what we end up with. Now, there is a way that earlier on, if you start seeing it, you can cancel out earlier, but if you're unsure how to do it, and you just want to sort of take it step by step, I would suggest you multiply and then look at common factors to cancel. Okay? Next one we have is a division sign. So what do we have to do with it? We have something divided by a fraction divided by another fraction. What do we have to do? Yeah, you flip it to its reciprocal, and then you times it. So we're going to do that first. So I'll rewrite it. The first one stays the same, x over 4. We flip the second one, so it becomes 9 over x, and then I change it to multiplication. Right, so what am I going to get? Yeah, look at what's the numerator. 9x over 4x. What is the factor that cancels out here? Huh? X's cancel out. X cancels out, and so we end up with 9 over 4. 2 doesn't. 9 over 4. Video. Okay, now the last one, I've got 2 more I'm going to do. We're just sort of getting a view of, okay, so you flip it around, change it to multiplication. This next one, we've got 5xy over 3 divided by 3y over 6. What's the first step? We don't have to do that, we're not adding it. So that's just now, what do I have to do? What's my first step that I have to do here? Yeah, so it's 5xy over 3. And then the second one becomes 6 over 3y. We change it to times. Olivia, come with me. Come with Olivia. Yeah, so top times together, it's got 30xy over, what's on the denominator, Brianna? What's the denominator for this one? So you've got 3 times 3y, 9y. Okay, so 9y. What cancels out? The y's cancel out. So we get 30x over 9. And then what else is it? What's another factor? Quickly. What's another factor, John? 3. How many times is 3 going to 30? 10. So we've got 10x over 3. Good. The final one we'll have a look at. It's this, 9x squared over 2 divided by 3a times 5 over 12x. the way we approach this is we look at the first two first, and then ignore the third one for the moment, and then we deal with it individually. Alright, so first thing is, let's look at what's inside the brackets. 9x squared over 2. What do I do with the 3a? Flip it, and I multiply. Multiply by 8 over 3. And then I have to put times 5 over 12x. Caitlin, what goes inside this bracket? What happens here? 9x squared times 8. What's that? What's 9 times 8? 9x are 72. X squared. 72x squared over what? 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Times 5, 12 over 12x. Now, are there any common factors between 6 and 72? What is it? 6 is a common factor. 6 goes into 72 12 times. So, we get 12x squared over 1 times 5 over 12x. 5 over 12x. Now multiply this to get a math. What do I get on the top? So 12x squared times 5, what's that? Yeah, 60x squared. And then what's in the denominator? 12x. Now what cancels out here? Chelsea, what's one of the factors? X. So the x cancels out here and the x squared, so we get rid of 1. Any common factors between 60 and 12? Huh? Yeah, 12 is a common factor. So I can cancel 12 from both, and I just end up with, that goes to 1, that goes to 5, so I end up with 5x. Okay? So you take it step by step, and you work out what it is. So exercise 209, page 82, if you could please have a go.